You sitting at your kitchen table. You open a piece of mail, your annual retirement statement. The number staring back at you is $44,000. You let out a sigh. Then you open your phone and scroll past a headline that says, "The average American retirement account just hit $167,000. You feel a pit in your stomach. You live in the same country, you participate in the same economy, and you work 40 to 50 hours a week. So you make the only logical conclusion. You failed. You're behind. You missed some secret memo that everyone else got. But what if I told you that you aren't behind at all? What if I told you that both of those numbers are entirely true, but the space between them is the biggest mathematical lie in modern American history? Today, we are going to tear down the financial statistics that are giving you a complex, because once you see the sleight of hand being played with the phrase average American, you will never look at the news, your bank account, or yourself the same way again. Let's start with a math lesson that will immediately cure your financial anxiety: the difference between the mean and the median. When headlines say average, they almost always use the mean. They add everyone's money up and divide it by the number of people. It's useless. Here's why. Imagine 9 hard-working folks are sitting in a room. They all make $50,000 a year. Then, a tech billionaire who makes $100 million a year walks in and sits down. Suddenly, the average income in that room is $10 million. According to the mean, everyone in that room is a multimillionaire. But in reality, 9 of them are still stressing out about how they're going to pay for their kids' braces. That is what happens with American wealth. The top 1% drags the average so far up that it makes normal, hard-working people feel broke. If you want the truth, you have to look at the median. The median is the person standing dead center in a lineup of the whole country. Half have more, half have less. And the median American's financial life paints a much different, much more urgent picture. The $400 trap and the plastic solution. To understand the median American, we have to start with the Federal Reserve's most terrifying question. Every year, they ask Americans, if you had an unexpected $400 expense tomorrow, could you pay for it with cash in your bank account? Nearly 40% of adults say no. Listen to that. 4 in 10 people in the richest country in human history cannot absorb a $400 hit. $400 is not a week in the ICU. It's 4 tires. It's a broken water heater. It's a slightly aggressive trip to the grocery store. So what happens when that expense hits? It goes on plastic. Right now, the average interest rate on a credit card is hovering around 22 to 25%. When you put that $400 emergency on a credit card and only pay the minimum payment, you aren't actually paying for the tires or the water heater. You are paying a subscription fee to your own past. Let's break the math down. If you have a $5,000 balance at 24% interest, your minimum payment might be $100. Do you know how much of that actually lowers your debt? About $10. The other $90 is pure profit for the bank. You are on a treadmill designed to never, ever stop. That is how Americans ended up paying over $160 billion in credit card interest alone in a single year. But credit cards are just the appetizers. If you want to see the main course of American debt, look in the driveway. The average monthly payment for a new car is currently around $770. For a used car, it's well over $500. And people aren't just paying this for 3 years. They are signing up for 72 and 84-month auto loans. You are essentially taking out a mini mortgage on a piece of metal that goes down in value every single day. Think about the opportunity cost of that $770. If you took $770 a month and invested it into an S&P 500 index fund for 40 years, it would grow to over $2.4 million. Let me repeat that. Your car payment is a multi-million-dollar decision. The American middle class isn't mathematically barred from becoming millionaires. They're just accidentally financing depreciating assets instead of appreciating ones. But it's getting darker. People aren't just financing cars anymore. Have you noticed the Buy Now, Pay Later buttons at checkout? Nearly 30% of people who use services like Klarna or Afterpay have used them to buy groceries. We have a growing segment of the population that has to do complex algebra on Sunday night just to figure out what day of the week they're allowed to buy chicken. This isn't poor budgeting. This is a system where the cost of simply staying alive has outpaced the wages paid to do so. The retirement mirage. Let's go back to that $44,000 retirement balance we talked about at the beginning. That is the true median retirement balance for working-age Americans. Financial advisors have a rule called the 4% rule. It says you can safely withdraw 4% of your nest egg per year in retirement without running out of money. If you apply the 4% rules to $44,000, you get about $1,760 a year. That's roughly $147 a month. You can't even pay your utility bill with $147 a month. This means the vast majority of Americans are entirely dependent on Social Security. But here is the massive elephant in the room. According to the latest government trustees report, the Social Security Trust Fund is projected to be depleted by the early 2030s. If Congress does nothing, benefits will automatically be slashed by about 23%. This is why we're seeing a record number of people taking hardship withdrawals from their 401ks. They're draining their future to survive their present. We are eating the seed corn, completely oblivious to the fact that winter is coming. The housing squeeze. We can't have a conversation about financial statistics without talking about the roof over your head. In 1990, the median house cost about 3 times the median household income. Today, the median house costs over 5 times the median household income. The house didn't get 5 times better. It's the exact same house with the exact same plumbing, just priced out of the atmosphere. For renters, it's just as brutal. Over 22 million households in America spent more than 30% of their take-home pay on rent. Millions more spent over half. When over half of your paycheck goes straight to your landlord, there is virtually nothing left to invest, save, or build wealth with. Systemic default versus personal failure. If you're feeling overwhelmed right now, I want you to hear this loud and clear. This is not entirely your fault. You have been sold a narrative that if you just stop buying lattes, you'll be a millionaire. That is a lie, designed to shift the blame from a systemic failure to personal failure. Proof. Look at 401k participation. For decades, companies begged employees to manually sign up for retirement accounts, and participation hovered around 60%. Then, the law changed to allow auto-enrollment, meaning you were put into the 401k automatically, and you had to file paperwork to opt out. Guess what happened? Participation shot up to over 90%. People didn't suddenly get smarter. They didn't suddenly develop extreme financial discipline. The system changed its default setting. Right now, the default setting of the American economy is to drain you. The default is 25% credit cards, 84-month car loans, and one-click subscription models. To win, you have to fight the defaults. So how do you fight back? How do you step out of the statistics? Stop looking at the mean. You are not competing with a 65-year-old multi-millionaire in Scottsdale. Throw the average away. Change your own defaults. Automate your savings and investments. Make the money leave your checking account the very morning you get paid, before you can have an opinion on it. Attack the car payment. If you have a massive auto loan, figure out how to downsize. Drive a reliable, boring, used car for 10 years and invest the difference. That one move alone can alter your family's tree forever. You are not a failure because you only have $44,000 saved up. You were just measured with a crooked ruler. It is going to be hard, and you have to play defense against an entire industry built to make money off of your mistakes. But now that you know the rules of the game, you can start playing to win. If this video opened your eyes, hit the like button, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Stay smart, keep fighting the defaults, and I'll see you in the next one.